I'm attorney Howard Aiken, here at the finish line at the Chicago Street Race with professional driver Andre Castro. Welcome to another edition of Chicagoans You Should Know. Andre, it's great meeting you, and thank you. Great to talk to you today. Tell me, how does somebody who is originally from Colombia, grows up in New York, become a professional driver?
Yeah, it's a long story, 20-year long story pretty much. Just as a kid, you know, there was actually a Colombian race car driver in Formula One, and then he made the transition to NASCAR, which was pretty unheard of back then. But we followed him from a very young age, or I did, because my parents did. And that kind of got me into watching some F1 and NASCAR, and then, yeah, I just started in karts when I was 7. And then little by little, like, we had no idea what we were doing, but little by little, we just kind of got more serious about it. And then when I was 16, I started racing cars. So it's been a long journey, and the main reason I'm in the Xfinity series is this race, because U Chicago decided to sponsor me a couple of years ago and I made my first start here. So without this race, I don't think I would have been in NASCAR necessarily. So I'm really grateful for it.
On this journey, living in New York, did your family even have a car?
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
So how is it that you learn how to practice or even learn how to drive, you know, a professional car to even be in a race like this?
Yeah, karts was part of it, but also like simulators, video games. So, I mean, I kind of grew up in a time where those were starting to become pretty sophisticated, or at least, yeah, able to capture somewhat accurately the reality of what it's like to be in a race car. So yeah, I started on my Xbox when I was 6, and then by the time I was like 12, I had my steering wheel and my pedals, and that helped a lot, you know. The karts helped for, like, you know, being in real life with the sensations, with the G-forces, all that. You know, I was used to that since I was a kid. But the physics of the car, you know, when you move up from karts, you know, I was already used to that from the simulator.
So what was the first time that you ever were in like a professional car where you could drive versus being on the simulator?
So, well, I mean, the first time I was in a full-size race car would have been when I was 16. And then my first full season was 17. And since then, I've been kind of like sporadically racing, just because it's always difficult to find a sponsorship. So I've only done one full season since then, which was 2022. And besides that, I've just kind of been cherry picking whenever I get the sponsorship and I'm able to race.
So what's your favorite type of car to race in?
I would say I love this car, the Xfinity car, just because it's such a powerful beast. It's heavy, it's 3,400 pounds, and you got 700 horsepower to play with. So it's challenging. It doesn't stop on a dime. You know, you have to be really calculated, but you have so much power. You can spin the tires easily. And then the open wheel stuff, the formula stuff, you know, it's more nimble, less power, but you can really throw the thing around and it'll stick because you have downforce and it's so light. So I like both of them for different reasons, for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about the Chicago Street Race. What's different about this race next to other races that you've done?
Yeah, so I mean, everything happens on one day. So qualifying and practice are in the morning and the race is in the afternoon. That's just such a quick turnaround time. It's really difficult to like think about what you learned in practice and qualifying and apply it in the race. Also for NASCAR, this is the only street circuit that they do. So it'll be the only time that you're arriving at the end of a straightaway here, you know, at 150 miles an hour, and you have to brake, and there's a 90-degree wall right in front of you. So, and you know, you have that at all portions of the course. You know, if you overstep the limit just a little bit, you're going to be in the wall, which, you know, NASCAR does ovals and natural terrain road courses, which at those natural terrain road courses, you can make a mistake and maybe get away with it because you're in the grass. But here, it's just really daunting with the walls around. So you just have to be really precise.
So we're driving on these streets and stuff. How many different types of asphalt are the tires that your car is on? How many are they touching?
Multiple. So like here, the front straight, you know, Columbus, it got resurfaced a bit. But if you're braking at the end of Lakeshore Drive, turning right, there's actually some huge bumps. There's like 2 or 3 different types of pavement right there. So you can feel that on the brakes. The car really like will jump on the brakes, and you have to be careful because it might upset you on your way into the corner and you might hit the wall. So it's challenging. It depends on the corner, really.
Do you like it better doing a cool race like this, the street race, or is it better to be on a professional track?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I think both are really fun for different reasons. Sure. You know, this one doesn't have, you know, the runoff that the other tracks might have. But what's unique about this one is it has elevation change because we go over the bridge over the metro tracks. So you actually get some decline and incline there, which is rare for street tracks. So that's really nice. But yeah, it's really cool to have the whole skyline and the whole environment, and just the whole vibe around the event is so unique. I love it.
So one of those sponsors, in addition to the car sponsorship, is the University of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think you went there. Isn't that true?
Yes.
So what did you study, by the way, if you're a professional car driver?
Yeah.
And University of Chicago? How's that mix?
Yeah, I studied econ, so that was I graduated 3 years ago, and I went to Stuyvesant High School in New York City. So we had a lot of kids going to elite schools, and I just kind of followed them and took that same road, and was able to fortunately get into Chicago and had a great time there. So unfortunately COVID happened during my time there, but besides that, it was a really awesome time.
So even though you're originally from New York, all the Chicagoans need to stick together.
Exactly.
So happy to be doing this here with you today.
Absolutely.
Tell me, what do you think the future is going to look like? You think you're going to use more of the econ degree in sports racing, or where do you think your career is going to be taking you?
Yeah, it's yet to be seen. I mean, I'm applying to different jobs now. I've done some part-time work the past couple of years as well since graduating, along with my racing. So we'll see. I've been looking at jobs in racing, jobs in New York. There's an overlap actually, which you wouldn't think, but there are racing jobs in New York, so I've been looking at those too. I think, I use my life experience from all the racing I've done in anything I do, really, and the econ degree as well. I took classes at the business school at Booth as well. So I think no matter what I do, I think I'll use experience from both the real world in racing and my education.
And Andre, I know you're never going to get into an accident, but if you knew someone that was in an accident and needed an attorney for the case, who would you call?
I think I would call Lincoln Law. That would be my choice. If you ask me, I would say my parents first and then Lincoln Law.
Andre, it's been great talking to you today. This has been another edition of Chicagoans You Should Know.